Hello, this is Ron and Hugh, and welcome to Politically Challenged. Today we're going to take our personal perspective on life as a Londoner. So both of us, we are young, we are single, unmarried, 20-something-year-olds living in London. We're going to talk about, something personal. It's a bit of improv here and there. So let's go.
Wait, we're single? That always applies that we're not married. So how can you be married but single?
I said unmarried.
No.
Okay.
Right. Okay then.
So we'll talk about, so in my personal life, I've got this new job that I'm going to be doing apart from the podcast. It's going to be a sales role where I sell booking and dispatch systems for a company. Are you still looking for jobs?
I'm looking, some admin role, nothing big.
Okay. Now.
We both have undergrads and we both have masters, and the fact that we're still looking at I wouldn't say that we're still struggling to get jobs. That's kind of annoying. You've been job searching for a while. The fact is, I'm still searching, and you only just got one now.
It's not too bad because I wasn't heavily job searching, but from time to time, yes, I would look for jobs just like everybody else. Sometimes I would look at maybe dozens, hundreds of jobs per day. Well, okay, let's say dozens, not hundreds. And I would go onto sites like JobSite, Read, Total Jobs, just to look for anything really, because I realized early on that if I was trying to look for specific roles, that'd be like 40 people looking for each job, so it would be slightly difficult. So I was looking into media, I was looking into sales, I was looking into something based on my psychology degree. And most things, there were rejections or they didn't reply. So I took up any job I could get, maybe selling shoes, knocking door to door for a brief stint.
We both know how much you like feet, so.
Yeah. And then after that, working in a restaurant, waiting tables, cleaning dishes, mopping floors, stuff like that. And now I've got this telesales job where I'll be cold calling people. So that's my employment history, basically, apart from a charity shop I did when I was 15.
So
I worked out when I was 15. Yeah.
So some of our listeners may hear you calling them. That'd be funny, wouldn't it?
If they work for taxis, yeah. What about you? How's the job market going for you?
Well, I just got an admin. Well, I'm still applying for an admin job. Hopefully I'll be selected.
Okay.
But unlike you, you've looked at everything besides my psychology. I just wanted to focus on psychology. That's tricky because they expect experience and this and that. But if I don't have it, if a person won't give me opportunity firsthand, how will I have experience anyway?
Okay, that makes sense. So you're saying, I've heard this before. So you're saying that we both did psychology first, and then we did different masters. But you're saying that since you were looking at just jobs related to psychology, you would need experience.
A degree isn't enough, you need experience.
Yeah, well, I remember some of our classmates, they did volunteer roles at hospitals and other places, so it gave them a bit of an edge when it comes to their CVs and applying for jobs. Plus other people did other internships or stuff, and then some people just got lucky, they didn't have much experience and got the jobs. But it is also very common for people who do degrees like us, whether it's psychology or any of these other subjects that are deemed to... psychology is legitimate and people take it seriously, but for some reason, some people, they think that it's a soft subject. So if you just go and say, I do psychology, and then you go and look for jobs, you're gonna need experience. You're gonna need specialized knowledge. So maybe a master's, some job experience at a hospital or a research lab, and then that will have to be unpaid, or if you're lucky, it might be paid, and then you have to get another job.
Someone said it was a soft science. When I was choosing as an A-level subject, I was told it was the fourth science. So maybe our backgrounds are different, maybe it's our circles, but I was always told that psychology is seen as a high regard.
Everyone sees it as a social science. Some people might see it as a soft science.
I've never heard that term.
Well, not a soft science, but a soft subject to take. But I felt that it was, relatively difficult. It wasn't like neurobiology, but it was quite difficult.
I did do neuroscience as an option thing for my master's. Passed that, so that must be alright.
So when we go back to our personal experiences in the job market, you're saying it's been the results of been up and down, would you say?
Yeah.
It's been up and down with me too, and I know we've got some friends and some even some family members who talk about it and their own experiences looking for jobs, and it seems to be hard. I mean, it's hard for graduates coming out, but in my personal experience, like it's even harder with you know, slightly older people as well.
Some of them settle for jobs just to get, well, they just need money for bills and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Rather than just like, oh, they're saying like, oh, I have my degree in this, but I have bills, so I'll just take this job, even though it's not related to one.
Yeah, from my personal experience, I've known people who they've got degrees, they've been working in different jobs, but because of one thing or the other, like maybe they're in their 40s or in their 50s, or maybe because they're from a different country, it's slightly harder for them to integrate in the British job market, like if they're middle-aged, for instance. And also, let's say you've got people like us, mid-20s, trying to look for jobs. You've also got people who didn't go to university and are also looking for jobs, but as long as it's retail and hospitality, they don't seem to mind, as long as it's something that they can, you know, get just to pay the bills.
Yeah, it's a sense of like people are working for the necessity rather than the want. It's like, oh, I want to be a therapist, but I can't necessarily do that right now. I have to get a job that pays and then hopefully pursue it later.
Okay. So you would want to get a job and then save up to go back to uni?
No, to try, well, actually build up my resume, as they say, to become a therapist. Maybe, I'm not sure what I want to do, but something psychology related, some research assistant, something, or researcher.
Okay. How do you feel about the looking for jobs and even if you get a job? I know a lot of graduates who are still working in the minimum wage jobs that they were working while they were at uni or before uni. But that reminded me of this whole notion of raising minimum wage. Like, you know, Jeremy Corbyn, he almost became Prime Minister because he mentioned that he wants to raise corporation tax and raise minimum wage, which isn't great news if you're a small to medium type business owner with maybe about, if you're running a small shop or maybe a small business. It wouldn't be great for them, because imagine you're a small business trying to come up. You're in that survival phase, that startup phase in your business. So you have to pay more tax more business tax, and then you have to pay your employees more, depending on their base rate. So the profit margin for the business would decrease. And if you're in the survival phase in the business, from my limited knowledge of startups, it's very hard to stay on track financially, to have enough capital to maintain and survive the survival phase and, you know, grow as a company.
We think of big companies as well in that situation, so...
Yeah, but big companies can handle it.
No, they have to pay more tax and they have to pay more, their workers more, so their employment strategy might be like, they might be more, let's say, what's the word, what do you always accuse me of being like, picky, too picky, not picky, what's limited, like they'll probably look for, like, you know, minimum wage now, minimal experience, you get it, but if the company think, oh, I'm paying them more, I should probably be like, I want someone with experience in this role.
Okay.
So they'll be more selective.
They'll be, selective. So with these bigger companies with a bigger reputation, a lot more employees, you know, some background, some history, they'll be more selective with who they pick, so that they're not just paying people more for what they would feel would be lower quality work. Is that what you're saying?
Well, not necessarily. They'll be like, I'm paying...
Or just someone with less experience.
They would pay someone more reliable, but in the sense that it's still the same job. So, like, it doesn't matter if you have 5 years as a waiter or no years as a waiter, you'll be paid the same in that sense.
But with the minimum wage increase, that would more affect people like waiters, people in retail, hospitality, people with low-paying jobs, not necessarily an executive making 40 to 50K a year or 100K a year. That wouldn't affect them because they never had to pay minimum. They're not doing minimum wage jobs, they're doing high-end jobs. But people like me, in my past, up until now, with this new job that I'll be starting next month, I've had to do minimum wage jobs or even less than that. But for me, £10 an hour, on paper, it would be fantastic. But in reality, when you think about the cost of living, B, inflation, and C, the fact that because of A and B, money sort of depreciates, depending on how you look at it, it depreciates in the bank and it depreciates in real life every freaking year.
Yeah.
£10 doesn't seem that much over a long period of time. Like $1 million or £1 million today is less valuable than it was 10, 20 years ago.
It was practically unheard of for a person to be a millionaire in the 50s, wasn't it?
Well, it would be harder at least.
Well, there are lots of millionaires now.
Yeah.
If you
even more billionaires than ever before, which either means that people are harder workers, or maybe it's just the fact that maybe it's just the fact that money is depreciated in value.
Well, you can make an argument that people would say, like, our generation, like the 20, 30 years ago, the generation before us, they were likely to be homeowners in their 20s, our age.
Yeah.
But we're likely to be homeowners in our 30s.
I would say, according to some sources that I've looked at, closer to our 40s we'd be able to afford homes. I briefly saw, I looked at the headline, I didn't read the article, but it said Londoners would need a 283% pay rise to be able to afford a home in the city.
By what age?
I don't know about that, but that's the headline that I read. But if that's even close to being true, we're all going to have to make a lot more money.
Yeah, but where does the money come from?
Well, us. Well, we have to
You have to spend more to make more.
Well, it depends. I mean, you can get a job, or you can try and get promoted at your workplace. You could try to look into side hustles. You could try to look into investing, buying stocks, buying stocks. You can look into trying to create your own business on the side, which is what I've just mentioned. But there are many different ways. Like you could literally Google 1,000 new ways to make money.
Yeah, and how much of that are reliable? Like loads of new businesses, they go under in the first month and stuff.
No, but not necessarily. Like even day trading. Like there's day trading. People can trade.
But that's
they can buy and sell. They can pick buy and sell options for reputable companies.
Yeah, but the litigation and like the policies and how basically the litigation isn't that great with that. So like, and who's actually governing that is. I think with everything there's the risk, but I think if anyone listening wants to look into day trading, they should probably look at the risks first and stuff, and do pros and cons, and then just I would say go in with an open perspective, like.
Investigate before you invest.
Yes, who told you that?
Our video from Dan Locke, one of these entrepreneurs.
Oh, one of those guys who says that, who will tell you his secrets of you giving money. That's a secret. Give him money.
One of those people. Well, I wouldn't say he's one of those people, but obviously he's a businessman, so he coaches people for, well, some amount of money. But let's not go into that. Basically what you're saying is investigate before you invest. Research, do your due diligence when it comes to your research before you go into any form of business.
Actually, anything.
Day trading, e-commerce, anything.
Even in the medical profession, like if you want to get a placement in a hospital, research about the hospital, research everything you know about that company, that hospital, and see where they're deficient and stuff. And
okay.
But that's if you're going to placement.
Even for a normal job, you need to research the company, see if it's the right place for you, seeing if they're reputable, if they're credible.
And if it's near enough for you, or do you have to move, stuff like that.
But back to trying to make more money so that you can afford a home or a car. Luckily, we live in London, so you can take a bus everywhere, take trains everywhere, rail, tram. London's fine. London's the epicenter of the country. We don't need a car. But some people obviously want a car for their own individual needs. Some people would rather, if they had to pick between a house and a car, some people would prefer a house because everybody wants to live in a freaking house for some reason. But out of all the people I know,
renting is very economical, but people are very hesitant to rent these days because they think it's our equivalency of the London or the American dream. We have to be homeowners. That's the dream.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of people dream to get their own home, but the problem is you have to save up for decades. You have to live with your parents until maybe your mid to late 30s, and honestly, nobody wants to do that. Like most people, I would say most people don't want to do that because, I mean,
it could be a cultural thing. Some people with my family lived it with their family into their 30s. There's no stigma in my thing about that.
It's not even just whether there's a stigma or not. I think it's just like most people our age, they want their own independence. They want to grow up as fast as possible. They want the house. If possible, they want the car. They want to go on holidays. They want to have proper jobs and be grown up. That's part of the culture. That's part of the pressure that we put on ourselves and each other to, quote unquote, grow up and move on with our lives.
My house is really nice. I don't drive, so a car would be pretty useless on holidays. I don't really have the travel bug. So but everything's a matter of perspective. Like, I'm not big on that stuff. So a house, if you gave me a house now, I would take it. I don't know what I do with it, but it's a house.
Yeah.
But
you could always rent it out.
Yes.
That's one option. But yes, there are. When it comes to being a millennial, quote unquote millennial in London, it's quite.
In London, well,
it's quite difficult to even contemplate how you're going to save money.
Oh yeah, I've heard the Piccadilly line might get air conditioned, so other lines might get air conditioned as well. So no
that's one comfort.
No need to worry because we're going to have air conditioning out in our train soon. So
yeah.
In this weather, that'd be pretty useful.
But what do you think would be the best situation for anybody out here trying to get a house? Apart, like, save money.
I would say renting. I say rent until you save, and then I know there's some people that like.
What, rent and save?
Yeah.
Perhaps. What about the people that desperately just want to live in a house? What if they feel as if renting while saving would just take the money away from the saving?
So where are you going to live in the meantime?
Well, probably with parents, I guess.
Well, save with your parents. Help with their parents out. And also, there's some people that like, you know, the price of house prices drop when you leave out the London sphere. There's some people that like, one train ride away from London, out of London. Just like live there and then work in London, and that house is gonna be like an average house is like 400 plus here. You could get a 3-bedroom house for like under 300,000.
I've heard of people wanting to move, people studying in London right now, but they want to move outside of London just because the homes will be cheaper and the lifestyle as well.
Yeah, you could live in the countryside and you could work in the city. That's the best of both worlds in a way.
But what about the commute?
Get a train, and you can afford a car, get a car. But obviously a train will probably be better if you want to get a rush hour from there to London. Like, imagine getting a train to, imagine trying to drive into Canary Wharf rush hour.
Yeah, exactly.
From Kent.
Yeah, that even sounds emotionally taxing.
Yeah, and don't forget about vehicle tax.
I mean, I've met people from Kent, from Essex, who took commutes to London just for job interviews, hoping and praying that they can work in London, thinking their lives are going to be better just because it's here.
Yeah, there's a sort of like a bit of glamour with London that's associated. But I remember when I was still looking at courses, I went to an open day for criminal justice in Westminster. I think that was unique, and there was a girl from, I think, Portsmouth, and she said her parents were terrified of her coming to London because it's bad. But I thought, not Portsmouth, she was somewhere in the country, and I thought, I'm afraid of the country, and she's afraid of the city. While it's glamour in London, there's also a dangerous image about amount of crime that happens there.
Yeah, the crime, the knife crime.
Not sure if I said that story before, but yeah, I'll just mention it again.
Yeah, there is a reputation for glamour and a reputation for violence and crime here.
With me, like, I'm more scared of the country.
Not to mention the air pollution.
I'm more hesitant to go out in the country because I think horror movies in the middle of nowhere. But people in the countryside, they're like, oh my god, there's so many people, so many bad people. But I think if there's more people, there are more witnesses, and you're safer. I feel safer when there are more people around rather than like. Just imagine if there was just no one here. Imagine a deserted London. That would be creepy as hell.
It would be quite fascinating. Like, everywhere would automatically become like an historical landmark. And then you could just look at all these pretty buildings and then just wonder.
Just imagine if, like, suddenly a person said that, oh wait, we're taking all the houses out of London and leaving the buildings. Imagine how much, obviously imagine if, like, a person, like, this is a hypothetical, if you take all the houses out of London, you know, and then let's put it in the countryside, and then basically let the parks in London grow, and they basically just walk around, it could be like an ancient. I mean, that's what happened to ancient civilization that kind of just died out. People just thought it's too expensive, and they just left and let that old building old towns just die.
Perhaps. Final thing before we end, let's say, part 1 of this.
Yeah, this is our perspective. We might go into a more emotional side or something. We haven't decided yet, but this is part one of.
This is part one of, let's say, two of just.
Or maybe more. We don't know.
Yeah.
Let's call it part one.
Part one. Final thing though.
Yeah.
How do you think that with, let's say, the political climate right now, you've got Jeremy Corbyn promising people higher minimum wage, more corporation tax.
We have Trump
and then
coming.
you've got Trump coming in next month. You've also got May claiming
On
20 billion.
Wait, in time of recording, it's next month. By the time we upload it, it might have happened and gone. He might have come to London, nothing big happened, and he left without it. I mean, nothing's going to happen. It's Trump. He's not going to say anything silly. He's not going to do anything silly in London, is he?
And that's what we say, and then something huge happens and we sound like idiots. But, again,
if this, because we're going to upload it probably after or before when he was actually here, so we could basically like, oh, we predicted nothing and we're right. If we predicted nothing and something happens, we'd be like, we were very optimistic. So I don't think there's a way of us losing in that situation. Nothing will happen.
Don't jinx it, please.
Hopefully nothing will happen.
Okay, but apart from all of that, Jeremy Corbyn's promising his leftist principles of corporation tax increasing and minimum wage increasing, and then there's Theresa May trying to get voters' confidence back by promising £20 billion for the NHS.
From where?
Well,
from where?
That's the bloody good question. Where is it going to come from?
Trident?
This is the woman that said that there wasn't any magical money tree, but now that she's losing voter confidence. Not just her, the entire party. It's not entirely her fault. But now that they're losing voter confidence, the Tories are claiming that they've got 20 billion saved. At least it'll come from all the money that we would supposedly save. That's my opinion, is that it'll probably come from all the money that will be supposedly saved once we leave the EU, because we won't be paying to stay in the EU anymore. Not to mention, I would predict higher taxes, even if the Tories stay in power. Even though they're centre-right or right-wing, I believe higher taxes are inevitable. If Theresa May becomes the Prime Minister again in 2022, there'll be higher taxes to pay for the NHS.
Wait, 2022? That's when I thought we get an election every year now. I want another election now.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
We might get another election. Let's pray for another election now. Let's hope that happens by the time.
I would rather it be 2022 at this rate, because we need to show the world that we have some goddamn stability.
I don't mind another election. I would want another election.
I mean,
some people annoy. I like.
We need stability. If there is going to be another election, please let it be after we leave the EU.
Oh no.
Not before.
Sooner the better. Sooner the better.
No, because the new.
We don't know
Jeremy Corbyn.
If it's Labour or the Lib Dems.
Or Vince Cable.
If it's Labour or the Lib Dems, I don't know. They might have a better team to crack Brexit. We might get a better deal.
But they'll have less time. And then, what are the Tories going to help them? I doubt it. They'll just let them suffer at the expense of the country. That's my opinion. It might not happen, but.
Yeah, I don't think you. I mean, Conservatives might not be our form of politics, but I don't think you should be so dismissive of their emotion.
Well,
they do care about the country at the end of the day.
There you have it. Those are our opinions on the job market, our politicians, and why why millennials should try and make some more money. Okay.
I don't know about how.
It's bye from Hugh.
And it's bye from me.
Bye, guys.